Okay, welcome to part 2. So we covered drop shadow, gradient mesh, gradients, gradient on a stroke. Now I'm going to cover gradient on text. As of yet, this version you cannot apply gradient to normal text. There's a step that you have to take, but I'll take you through the steps of what I would like you to do for your illustration project. And let's just clean this up. Okay, first we need to have text. A very important point is that I want you to use point text. So please do not do this. Do not create a text container. Okay, so I'm going to select that and just get rid of it. What I want you to do is just click once, so we can create point type. This gives you much more options to distort it. Okay, so with my insertion point there flashing, I'm going to enter some text. Just write the word gradient and go to your selection tool, drag it. Okay, so this was from the last time I used text. It was set to Myriad Pro Bold, and that's what I want to use. Okay, so in addition to applying a gradient to the text, let me just sort of show you as an example. If I go to my swatches panel and click on one of the gradients, notice what happens is that you can see it in the fill box, but it is not being applied to the text. It is live text. That's one of the limitations. You can apply a pattern, but not a gradient. So I'll show you the way to work around that. But before we do, I want to show you an alternate to using text on a path to give it your words a kind of an interesting distortion or arc. So while I still have my word and still live text, I'm going to apply a distortion to it. So here it's selected with my selection tool. If you look up in your control panel, almost all the way to the right side, you'll see there's a little sort of arced. This is actually the envelope icon. It looks like a grid that's been distorted. So I'm going to click on that, and that brings up this warp option, and turn on the preview button. And what that does is give me a nice arced type. You know, I could have created a path, clicked on that, and typed it to have it arc, but this is a little quicker and easy way. If you're just working with one simple arc, and you have a amount slider for depending on how much you want it bent. So for our purposes, we're not going to go too crazy. Okay. So once you've applied an envelope distort to text, if you still have access to the live text, so I can still change the typeface, the spelling, any number of things that I can change. So in order to do that, with that selected, again, look up in your control panel. There's two buttons on the left side that allow you different editing options. So one is edit envelope mode, and the other one is edit contents. Watch what happens when I click on that. Now you can see the baseline, and when I mouse over, you can see that the original text highlighted. So that means I can still edit it. So I can go in with my type tool and say, I want this G to be capitalized. Okay, so now it's been updated. So if I deselect, everything's been changed. Still live text, but it has an effect on it, a distortion effect. Okay, once I've gotten the distortion and all the spelling that I want, I still want to apply the gradient. So that requires one more step. This is important, is that you need not to select it with the type tool, because when you select or highlight text, it thinks that you want to edit the text, edit it as live text. So it's important to select it with the normal selection tool. So all you see is the bounding box. Okay, so now that it's selected, I want to create what's a feature that's called Create Outline. So what this is going to allow me to do is convert all the letter forms to Illustrator objects. Then I will be able to apply the gradient to them. Okay, so my text is selected. Go to the Type tool, choose, here, move this control here, again, Type tool, choose Create Outline. Once I've done that, you can see now all the paths and anchor points around here, let's zoom in here. So you can see as I zoom in, here, let me just set my essentials. zoom in, you can see they have a distorted text, but an outline text instead of live text. You can tell because all the individual characters, you can see all the anchor points and paths. So now I can apply a basic gradient to that. So there's one more thing I want to do is set the gradient across the text as one object. When I applied this, a gradient to that, what you see is a gradient on each character. So each one has its, goes from orange to yellow, orange to yellow, orange to yellow. I want the gradient to be applied across all the text. So I just simply take my gradient tool and start somewhere down at the bottom. You can see the crosshairs, and you can see what this does is allow you to reapply the gradient. Here, maybe I'll start from the top here. There you go. So from one where you click and then drag and release. So now that will be the extent of the gradient, and it goes across all the characters. Let's go back to normal mode or normal. Okay, and to that we can apply a drop shadow. Okay, so that's there. Just keep in mind is when I direct you to choose stylize. There are two stylize options. Just make sure you choose the stylize within the Illustrator effects section of the effect menu. And there at the top of that flyout menu is drop shadow. And here I do want it to alter the distance of the shadow. Right now it's a little bit too far, or at least the illusion of far. So we're going to reduce these offset values by clicking down arrow. We'll set that to about a 4 on both offset. So this way it brings it a little bit closer. Okay, there's a nicely distorted text with gradient and drop shadow. Okay, moving on. Blends. Remember blends? You can take two different objects and blend them. So this you could take two objects. Actually, here it remembers the gradient that I had applied. Just use the blend tool. Click once, twice. Actually, I'll leave this up to you. The option you could actually do for what I had. If you wanted to do a stem from the cherry, you can use your gradient on a stroke option, or this. I'll just quickly follow through before I run out of time. So we want to, when you use a gradient, you need to make sure, actually when you use a gradient, what happens is it breaks up into individual steps. It won't automatically create smooth. So you need to double click, then choose specified color, enter in, say 200, give you your smoothness, say OK. So if you wanted to change the direction of that, use your direct selection tool, click on the spine. There I've clicked this anchor point, and I can choose it in my control panel. We have the different types of anchor points. I'm going to convert that to smooth. Once I do that, that brings up my control handles. There I can apply a smooth anchor point to both ends. And that gives you a lot of possibilities for creating a 3D illusion. Okay, so that's blend, and I did actually cover envelope distort, so that pretty much covers everything. Hopefully these videos will come in handy if you watch them. You can slow them down. I don't know if you can slow them down, but you can certainly watch them over again and stop and start them. Okay, so good luck, and we'll see you later.